you see Brady with Gronk and Edelman. They're like brothers. Like they still talk to this day. They're like brothers, and I think that's the type of thing you need to be a winning team. You know what I mean? We
But
could be good and we could be sexy and we could sell jerseys, but are we trying to win? And I think winning is a chemistry thing in football more than a business thing. You can't if it was easy as starting a business, like fucking the Dallas Mavericks would win the fucking championship every other year because you know what I mean? Like sports is chemistry. You can't just sign guys and be the best businessman and build a business plan and we're gonna do XYZ and try and be analytical. You can to a point, but football isn't analytical. It's blood, sweat, and tears. There's guys out there grinding, fighting, cheating, clawing, and you can't necessarily, like I said, always be trying to make the smart analytical play for a football team because football is a grinded out sport.
now remember, I did send you that tweet. I think it was early last week where or late last week where there was reports going on that in these offensive coordinator interviews, Matt Eberflus was defending Justin Fields. Um,
Yes.
and I told you I was like, if this is true, if this is and it's been confirmed, it's interesting because there was no context on what he was defending about Justin, whether it was, because there was another report that came out that said that Shane Waldron, one of the biggest, contributions to him signing with Chicago was the opportunity to work with number one overall pick Caleb Williams. But he also wouldn't say whether or not, it had anything to do with possibly reshaping Justin Fields. I mean, we all knew that any offensive coordinator with the Bears having the number one overall pick would be, willing and excited to work with the number one overall pick in the draft,
Of course,
regardless of
yes.
who it was. So, like you said, Ryan Poles doesn't really, he's not tipping his hand in any way, shape, or form, one direction or another. And this leak just, hey, Matty Eberflus was defending Justin Fields with no context to it whatsoever is, I mean,
My
this is
I
like
took it
next
as like
level.
Eberflus was saying like he wants to ride with Justin type of thing, where like that's where he's defending him. Where like obviously it's ultimately Ryan Poles' fault, but again he's the coach. He's you know what I mean, player adjacent. So you know what I mean. They've got a connection, especially the head coach and the quarterback. So again, I'll take that with a grain of salt. That is what I want to hear. And like I was just harping on, I think football is like I said, they say it's a business a million times, but I don't like. I just don't think the winning teams are operating like a business. I think it's more like a family. Um, and the Bears just, I don't, for a long time, I don't think we've operated like that, and I think that's a problem. And I think when you don't show loyalty, the players don't. They have that in the back of their mind, and they're not going to give it 110 because they know that you're just going to dispose of them when that time comes. And yes, that happens, and part of it is business, but you know what I mean? There's good illustrations like the Steelers per se, like Shazier broke his back and they paid him. You know what I mean? Like and it's no coincidence that no matter what, no matter who their quarterback is, what their team is, they make the playoffs. TJ Watt missed 6 games. You know what I mean? They make the playoffs. And I don't it's obviously it's great coaching, they draft well, but I just think it's a culture thing. And we got rid of Roquan, and I've said it a bunch of times. I didn't like that. I understand it's a business. You're trying to save money. You want to pay an off-ball linebacker. Blah 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 blah. He's a Hall of Famer. He was out there, you know what I mean, during the fucking rebuild, getting 20 tackles a game, putting his body on the line, putting his future on the line for a losing cause for nothing, and then you dispose of him because you're like, oh, I can get somebody a little bit cheaper. And
I,
I just think
I
that
I
sets a
don't
bad
agree with
precedent
you on that one. I really don't.
with
I
what
agree with the
Roquan.
cult. I agree with the culture thing, but the Roquan, I don't agree with the Roquan thing at all. I get Roquan as he's an all pro. I'm not saying he's not,
He's a
but
first ballot Hall of Famer. He's not an All Pro. Like, and that's
he,
even better than All Pro. It's like,
he's an all pro. We don't know if he's going to be a first ballot
I
Hall of
mean,
Famer.
unless he breaks his back
If it
anytime soon.
continues like the trajectory he's going towards, then yes, but we
Yes,
don't know for
yes,
sure.
you're right. Yeah, but I'm just saying, barring
But
injury,
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it was a matter of scheme fit as well. It wasn't just how much he was getting paid. It had a lot to do with who the head coaching was and what defensive scheme he wanted to run. And Roquan does not fit the scheme. The reason why they signed Edmonds in the first place was because he's 6'5". He's like the Brian Urlacher size for a
yeah,
middle linebacker for the Tampa 2. It was more of a scheme. Did money have a factor? Yes. but it was more of a scheme fit thing than it was anything else. Plus, Ryan Poles didn't like the way that he was handling business in terms of putting it out in the media and everything else like that. He wanted it to be dealt in house. Not a lot of people, not a lot of bosses like criticism from our employees.